Hello, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to the Hangar Bay. On this channel, we take a deep dive into the best starships, technology, and more from your favourite sci-fi universes. Today, we're once again talking about Battlestar Galactica. While we've previously analysed the likes of the Jupiter-class Battlestar, amongst others, today we're looking at every Battlestar class in Battlestar Galactica. The Colonial Fleet, while not seen much in the series, is a tough one, unless it comes down to hacked software. So, let's see what these impressive designs actually are. Remember, for the latest videos, hit that subscribe button. While you're watching, let us know which Battlestar class you would prefer to command in the comments below. Oh, and if you enjoy these videos, consider hitting the join button and helping decide what ships we cover next. So say we all. The Artemis-Class Battlestar design revolutionized the warship design philosophy of the 12 colonies. The Artemis-Class design's impact can be seen even in the Mercury-Class Battlestar. It would seem the origins of the Artemis currently make it one of the oldest and perhaps the first Battlestar design. This is because the class was created before the unification of the 12 colonies. Due to the age of the design, little is known about it. Visually, our only on-screen view of the Artemis-Class Battlestar is in the series' final episode of BSG, Daybreak. During the all-hands report, you can see the Artemis-Class displayed in Galactica's Cylon War Museum. We know the Battlestar class has 2 flight pods and 2 flight decks, which is the standard configuration of a Colonial Battlestar. The Artemis class also appears in the Battlestar Galactica Deadlock game. The Deadlock developer team adapted the design of the Artemis from the original Battlestar TV series to make it fit into the game's continuity. This makes the Artemis represent the first Cylon War era designs. For example, the team switched out the original series energy weapons to ballistic weapons, as well as changed up the engine configuration. These are subtle changes that still respect the original design of the Battlestar. We're including the Orion-Class in our report list. While some regard the Orion-Class as a Battlestar, we prefer to think of this as an assault ship and not a Battlestar-class design. Still, let's talk about it. For example, the design of the Orion-Class does not conform to the typical standards of a Colonial Battlestar design. There is a large debate among the Battlestar community if the Orion-Class is actually a Battlestar. Given it does not conform to the design elements seen in the past, current, or future designs of other Battlestar classes, we think this is up for debate, and it's definitely not a Battlestar. But if you disagree, comment down below. The Orion-class assault ship came in at a length of 359.6 meters, with a width of 104.2 meters and a height of 111.9 meters. Designated as a support vessel, it features lighter armaments than a Colonial Battlestar. As such, it carried 12 primary dual kinetic energy weapons and 42 secondary dual kinetic energy weapons. 6 missile tubes were also loaded on board. Defense-wise, the Orion-class lacked the thick armor plating that other vessels typically used. However, at least one ship of the Orion-class, the Osiris, was fitted with stealth technology. It's unclear if this was present on other ships of the Orion-class or was perhaps a war refit. While not perfect, the stealth coating allowed the ships to operate for several minutes near Cylon base stars and forces before being spotted. The trade-off of this system was increased heat within the ship, making for a less than ideal workspace for the starship's crew. Once the Orion-class stealth had been detected, the support ship was able to use its 32 quad-point defense KW batteries to produce flak screens against incoming fighter craft and ordnance. Due to the ship's size, it only had room for a small complement of Viper fighters. However, it was also able to carry several Raptor multi-purpose craft on board. No flight pods were installed. Instead, a traditional style hangar space was installed under the engine assembly of the Orion-class. An example of the Orion-class is the Osiris, which was seen in Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome. Commanded by Commander Ozar, the Osiris was a part of the Ghost Fleet and played a critical role in a secret colonial operation to mislead Cylon forces. During a mission to deliver Dr. Kelly to the ice planet of Djibril, the Osiris encountered a Cylon base star and engaged it. Due to sustaining critical damage, the Osiris could not deploy her nuclear weapons. To ensure the mission's success, Commander Ozar set a collision course with the base star and rammed the Osiris into it. Once crash landed into the Cylon base star, Ozar detonated the Osiris' nuclear weapons, destroying the Osiris, the base star, raiders, and all remaining Colonial Vipers in the vicinity. With the loss of the Osiris and the end of the First Cylon War, it seems the Colonial Fleet did not move to build any new Orion-class assault ships. Instead, the fleet moved to produce the likes of Mercury-Class and update the Valkyrie-Class designs. One of the longest serving Battlestar classes is the Valkyrie-Class Battlestar. Introduced initially around the time of the First Silent War, as the Valkyrie is present as part of the Ghost Fleet mission, the class remained in service right up until the fall of the 12 colonies. The Valkyrie-Class even outlasted the legendary Jupiter-class Battlestar, which we'll discuss in a moment. We say this, as multiple Valkyrie-classes can be seen defending the colonies during the fall. The Valkyrie-class Battlestar came in at a length of 649 meters, with a width of 234 meters and a height of 69 meters. While smaller than the likes of the Jupiter-class and the Mercury-class Battlestar designs, the whole layout of the Valkyrie-class remained in a similar design style. For example, it features the alligator head, then a midsection with the flight pods attached, followed by the aft section with a propulsion housing, where the main sublight engines were located along with the FTL drive. Despite being a pre-Silent War era design, the flight pods of the Valkyrie-class do not retract like those found on Jupiter-class Battlestars. The Valkyrie also has significantly fewer launching capabilities than its larger counterparts in the fleet. While Battlestar designs like the Jupiter-class and the Mercury-class launch Vipers from their sides, the Valkyrie launches them head-on for quicker response times. Armament-wise, as a smaller Battlestar, the ships of the Valkyrie-class do not possess the heavy turrets typically seen on both the Jupiter-class and the Mercury-class. The Valkyrie design has several smaller turrets strategically placed throughout the ship. This turret type is complemented with multiple secondary and tertiary weapons to serve as a defense mechanism against incoming ordnance. The Valkyrie-class was equipped with a main armament consisting of 12 main kinetic energy weapon batteries and a secondary armament consisting of 4 single-gun KEWs, positioned on the dorsal sides of each flight pod. The Valkyrie-class design would also have anti-missile and anti-fighter protection in the form of 41 dual KEW Seawiz batteries. While resembling the design of the primary batteries, they were smaller and strategically positioned on the vessel's hull. These batteries actually served as a dual function. They would act as a standard kinetic weapons, typically found in the Jupiter-class, and a platform for launching Colonial ship-to-ship missiles. The weapons were also placed between the sublight engines in a smart tactical choice. It allowed for near 360-degree protection coverage. While no exact number is known, the Valkyrie-class is expected to support multiple Viper fighters and Raptor multi-purpose craft squadrons. While taking part in the First Silent War, the Valkyrie-class would have had Viper Mark II and Mark III fighters in service. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, the Mark VII Vipers would be in service on board Valkyrie Battlestars. Before the fall of the 12 colonies, the Colonial Fleet sought to upgrade the Valkyrie-class design. For example, they updated the design with a spoiler-light winglet hull section above the upper engine assembly. It's not entirely clear why this was added or what purpose it served. 2 of these types of Valkyrie-class Battlestars exist and were spotted docked at Scorpion Fleet shipyards during the fall of the 12 colonies. It's possible that this was a recent or not a popular design, as other Valkyrie ships active during the fall did not feature this new hull attachment. For a complete breakdown of a Valkyrie-class Battlestar and a more detailed overview of her systems and behind-the-scenes details, check out our full breakdown here on the Hangar Bay YouTube channel. The pride of the Colonial Fleet during the First Silent War was the Jupiter-class Battlestar. Arguably, this is the Battlestar you think of when the word Battlestar is mentioned. The Jupiter-class Battlestar was the first class of Battlestars developed solely to combat the threat of the Cylons. The Jupiter line of Battlestars served valiantly throughout the First Silent War, but unfortunately, only 3 of the initial 12 Battlestars survived the engagement. The class would survive the First Silent War, and the Colonial Fleet would later build new Jupiter-class ships. At 1,438.6 meters long, 536.8 meters wide, and 183.3 meters high, the Battlestar design was regarded as a space-going Leviathan. The design of a Jupiter-class Battlestar can be broken down into 2 sections: the main hull and the twin flight pods for small craft deployment. The main hull comprised the bulk of the Battlestar design. We can divide this into 3 sections. The 4th section was known as the alligator head. This contained much of the living and crew areas. Locations such as the CIC, war room, observation deck, and pilot's rec room were located here. Sickbay was also within this section, along with other facilities and numerous airlocks for access in and out of the Battlestar. Within the 4th section, the Battlestar also stored her main water tanks and water transfer hatches. The midsection of the Jupiter-class housed the main flight decks and the flight pod retraction systems. There was also a service area for transferring fighters, like Vipers, from flight pod to pod. This section also housed the primary gun batteries, missile launch tubes, support systems, and corresponding ammunition stores. Finally, the stern section of the Battlestar would contain the engine room. Here, access to the engine pods and FTL drives were located. Some facilities allowed engineering and other access to maintain the Battlestar propulsion system. 2 retracting flight pods were mounted on either side of a Jupiter-class Battlestar. Each flight pod of a Jupiter-class is comprised of 2 main flight decks for flight operations. The upper deck is the landing bay. This extends the full length of the flight pod. The lower launch bays provide around 40 launch tubes per pod, so the Jupiter-class has around 80 launch tubes at its disposal. The hangar deck is also located under the landing bay. This is where fighter maintenance is situated. The hangar deck can be used for refueling, repair, rearming, and launch operations. It also runs the length of a flight pod. The Jupiter-class flight pods will also retract when the Battlestar commences an FTL jump, likely to also protect the fighter craft. Designed for war, the Jupiter-class was heavily armed during the First Silent War. In the original design configuration, anywhere between 24 to 40 anti-ship gun turrets were mounted 2 apiece on the hull. These are found on the dorsal and ventral surface of the main hull, as well as on the ventral surface of the bow. The 2 guns on each turret fire in tandem for maximum effect. These anti-ship turrets are somewhat effective against Cylon base stars. While designed for anti-ship, the firearms can be used for both flak ammunition and high explosive anti-capital ship shells. Each turret can engage in a barrage-style strategies and salvo fire. Meanwhile, 514-point defense turrets, again mounted 2 apiece, are located on the flight pods and other surfaces of the Battlestar. These are armed with explosive rounds in bursts to provide flak field defense for the Battlestar. Located in the dorsal main hull are 12 launch tubes, which can carry multiple nuclear warheads. The Jupiter-class also considered Vipers and Raptors as part of her arsenal. While initially using the Mark II Vipers, the Mark VII Vipers remain compatible with the Jupiter-class launch and recovery facilities. Designed with endurance in mind, the Jupiter-class could operate away from the Colonial Fleet and resupply facilities for quite some time. The Battlestar has on board water purification capabilities. Without emergencies, the Jupiter-class can operate for several years without having to replenish her water supplies. The Battlestar also appears to have ammunition assembly capabilities within her armory. The ships potentially have a small fabrication facility on board. This endurance-focused design also stretched to the hull design. For example, a Jupiter-class Battlestar, like the Battlestar Galactica, is shown to continue operating even after sustaining a massive amount of damage. This is evidenced by the Battlestar Galactica's continued effectiveness at defending her civilian fleet after the fall of the 12 colonies. Even after a deadly atmospheric FTL jump and then being in a heavily damaging space battle, the Galacticas proved the Jupiter-class design was built to last. Unlike other pre-Silent War era designs, the Jupiter-class Battlestar was uniquely designed with unnetworked computer systems. This was done to prevent Cylon infiltration via software hacking. It would seem the Colonial Fleet had constructed new Jupiter-class Battlestars before the fall of the 12 colonies. For example, during the fall, we see one destroyed Jupiter-class with Mark VII Vipers around it. While the fleet may have moved towards more Valkyrie and Mercury-class designs, it seems the Jupiter-class never really fell out of favour. For a complete breakdown of a Jupiter-class Battlestar and a more detailed overview on her systems and behind-the-scenes details, check out our full breakdown here on the Hangar Bay YouTube channel. We'd consider the Mercury-class the apex of Battlestar design within the Colonial Fleet. The most modern Battlestar class has also appeared to be the most costly design for the Colonial Fleet, and for good reason too. The Mercury-class was among the last Battlestar designs constructed by the 12 colonies. Only the Battlestar Pegasus has been seen on screen, though we can presume that at least some other Mercury-class Battlestars were active within the Colonial Fleet. Perhaps not to the extent of the Valkyrie-class, but at least a few. Designed as a capital warship and carrier, the Mercury-class Battlestar was a top-of-the-line vessel by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies. At 1,789.8 meters long, it dwarfed the older Jupiter-type Battlestars. A Mercury-class crew consisted of around 2,500 personnel. There was also space for both passengers and colonial marines. 8 sublight engines propelled the Battlestar. These massive engines were located at the rear of the ship and attached to the outer hull. They were grouped together in clusters of 4 along the ventral and dorsal surface of the hull. Mercury-classes also feature maneuvering thrusters placed at key points throughout the ship. For example, 2 main thrusters on the forward section of the hull. A Mercury-class would also sport a top-of-the-line faster-than-light drive consistent with other advanced systems. As a new generation of Battlestar design, the computer systems of the Mercury-class were top of the line. The Battlestar came with advanced computer systems, including the Command Navigation Program, developed by Dr. Gaius Baltar. This was designed to assist in advanced navigation techniques. Unfortunately, this program proved to be a virus and allowed the Cylons to gain command access over a Battlestar. The Mercury-class featured 34 automated gun turrets, mounted 2 apiece. These were installed and distributed all over the ship. The greatest concentration of large turrets was found along the side of a Battlestar, within the valley created by the upper and lower halves of the hull. They were also mounted along the flight pods. The Battlestar's bow also features 4 anti-ship guns mounted on the underside of the upper hull. This was then added to 4 non-turreted large guns below, which made up the ship's primary batteries. A total of 6 turrets were mounted on each underside of the hull structure, known as the alligator head. These turrets are grouped in pairs for optimal firing effect. To protect the fighters and small craft, a Mercury-class had 3 turrets on each side of a flight pod and 2 more turrets mounted on the front and back of each flight pod. As such, there are 34 main gun batteries. In comparison to a Jupiter-class Battlestar, the Mercury-class had a higher rate of fire when operating in flak mode. To complement the anti-ship guns, the Battlestar was also fitted with numerous smaller point defense turrets, which could be found between hull plates. Missile tubes were also installed on the ship. Small craft-wise, a Mercury-Class could carry around 186 Mark 7A and Mark 7B Viper fighters, comprised of 8 squadrons and 2 reserve squadrons. These were colour-coded in blue, red, green, yellow, orange, purple, black, white, and then gold and silver for the reserve squadrons. The Battlestar was fitted with 74 launch tubes. Interestingly, the Mercury-Class was also equipped with Raptor launch tubes. The Mercury-Class was designed with production facilities on board to allow the ship to operate longer away from a resupply base. As such, the Battlestar could build new Viper Mark 7s from basic resources. Of course, this only works if the ship had the resources available in the first place. The Mercury-Class's flight pod design set it apart from its predecessor. This Battlestar sported double-stacked flight pods. As such, 4 flight pods were installed on Mercury-Class ships. These pods were newer and more advanced. 2 dorsal and 2 ventral pods had advanced gravity systems installed to keep them in sync. As such, Vipers and Raptors could land both right side up and upside down in relation to the Battlestar. In terms of the design, the dual pod approach allowed for greater recovery of Vipers during combat. The Battlestar's hangar deck and launch tubes were located in between the right side up and upside down flight decks. The layout of its hangar deck and launch tube design was kept similar to that of a Jupiter-type Battlestar. While advanced, the launch tubes could still launch older Colonial Vipers such as the Mark IIs. Unlike a Jupiter-class Battlestar, these flight pods do not retract and are kept stationary. This allows the Mercury-Class to jump out of a battle zone faster than their older counterparts. The Colonial Fleet introduced the Mercury-Class during the interwar period, and the design was intended to replace the aging Jupiter-class eventually. The Battlestar design provided upgrades in virtually every category, including enhanced fighter carrying capacity to overall firepower. Many of these upgrades have been demonstrated by the Battlestar Pegasus. For a complete breakdown of a Mercury-class Battlestar and a more detailed overview on her systems and behind-the-scenes details, check out our full breakdown here on the Hangar Bay YouTube channel. Throughout the modern history of the Battlestar Galactica, other designs of the Colonial Battlestars have appeared in various media. For example, the comic book from Battlestar Galactica that explores the adventures of the Battlestar Pegasus. It features some different designs to what we've seen before. We will explore them another time as the designs are a little bit out there. As we conclude the video, we'd like to thank the developers of Battlestar Galactica Fleet Commander and the Battlestar.wiki team. So, that's our recap of every Battlestar class in Battlestar Galactica. Of course, we've only focused on the canon side of things today. Like we mentioned, with regards to the comics, that is a story for another day, especially as some more research is needed with them. If you've enjoyed this video, consider hitting that subscribe button, and don't forget to click on the playlist on the end screen to continue the Battlestar Galactica adventures. That's the end of this video. I've been Captain Jack in the Hangar Bay. Remember, if you're talking about science fiction, we want to hear about it. So say we all.